move on easily from hurts. People don't move on easily from failures. And that is why we need to teach self-awareness, so that when you are aware of yourself, you won't be dependent on external factors to endorse who you really are, on external factors to propel you to a place that you need to be, where your self-faculties are concerned. So self-awareness, it's all about being aware of yourself, being aware of your thinking patterns. Please write that down if you're writing. Being aware of your thinking patterns, being aware of the language that represents your makeup. What language do you speak that brings about genuineness that emanates from the quality of your makeup? But also self-awareness, it's about being aware of the weaknesses that you possess as a human being and as a person. Being aware of your weaknesses, it's not a weakness. It's actually a strength if you are going to work on the very weakness. So a lot of people, the mistake that they make is that they become aware of their weaknesses, but they don't work on their weaknesses. They don't do anything to change the status quo of their weaknesses into strengths. So you can never claim self-awareness if you are not doing anything to help develop yourself into the strengths that you need to be exhibiting in life. So it's very important that when we talk self-awareness, you must understand that it's also about the weaknesses that you are experiencing as a person. And when you experience those weaknesses and you work on them, then you are prone to be exhibiting the strengths in your life, so that other people can enjoy relating with you, other people can enjoy you. So it's not just a thing of you benefiting out of relating with other people, but also other people can benefit out of relating with yourself. So the question that I do have, and you can answer yourself, is whether you are aware of your faculties as a person. Are you aware of your thinking patterns? Are you aware of the language that represents your original makeup? Are you aware of your strengths? How strong are you and where are you strong? Are you aware of your weaknesses? How weak are you and where are you weak? When you are aware of these things, you can better manage yourself. You can better do things that actually make you proud, or do things that actually build up a quality reputation of yourself in the eyes of other people. So on self-awareness, those are the key points that I wanted to mention to you, which I hope that you have jotted down and you have taken note of, and you can work on them. So I may not even give examples of the strengths and weaknesses, because we are uniquely crafted as people. We are uniquely wired and designed. So our strengths may not be the same. Our weaknesses may not be the same. So the very most important thing is for you to do introspection, is for you to go back to the drawing board and be inquisitive on yourself. Inquire your makeup. Inquire what thought patterns do you possess. What are the things that you normally think about all the time, without you even making an effort to think about them, but you find yourself thinking about them. What are those things? Write them down so that you may be aware of your thought patterns. Write down the language that you normally use without you thinking twice. What are the things that you find yourself saying to yourself and also to others without you thinking twice about them? That is the language that's informed from the makeup that you have intrinsically and congenitally. So you need to look at those things, the strengths that you have. What are the things that you can do even if you did not go to school for them? Which areas of your life are you so strong that you can be given platform to perform and you can perform with ease? What are those things? Write them down, make yourself aware of them. Being aware of these things, I tell you now, will make you to be prone to managing your emotions, to managing yourself effectively. I see a hand raised by Arnold. Please put your question. If you have a question on the chat box, we'll be able to answer those questions before the end of this presentation. So let us look at the reasons why self-awareness is important. Number one, it makes us better leaders. Most of you in this lecture are leaders in your various workplace environments, are leaders in your communities, are leaders in your families. So it makes you a better leader, manager, team player, game changer, but ultimately it makes you a better person. So that's the importance of self-awareness. It helps you manage your ego as well. You know, to be egocentric, it's when you don't have altruism, you don't have selflessness. You are only thinking about yourself. And in the relationships that we have, in marriage, at work, if you are only thinking about yourself, you are prone to express congenitally your ego. When you express your ego, it means you prioritize yourself more than prioritizing the wellness of others. So shaming and blaming often come from those of us who are not very self-aware and self-accepting. People always pointing fingers on others. People always shifting responsibility and accountability to others instead of taking ownership of their own actions. So it also helps us take responsibility for our actions and realize our direct role in solving problems. Most of the time, we want to solve problems which we are the ones who are perpetrators of. When you shift the responsibility, you don't see your part in the problem making or the development, emergence of the problem. You only see the part that others have played, but you don't see your part. And that's what I'm talking about, that if you don't take responsibility for your actions, accountability for your own actions, you'll find yourself now not realizing your direct role in solving problem because you don't see what role have you played in creating or sustaining the problem. How emotional quotient can sabotage IQ? I've touched on it a little bit when I began my presentation. But let us move on now and look at the points that I'm mentioning here on how emotional quotient can sabotage your intellectual quotient. If you ignore your emotional quotient, you empower the failure of IQ. Intelligence cannot be faked where your human faculties are concerned. So I did say in the beginning that emotional quotient can overwhelm or hide or conceal your IQ, your intellectual quotient. And that's why we have seen people who are intellectually intelligent, but it can no longer be seen because of their poor EQ. When you are not emotionally quotient, you are likely to sabotage your IQ, your intellectual quotient. So for those who are intellectuals on this platform, it will help you to place the same amount of effort on developing yourself emotionally, the same way you have developed yourself intellectually, so that you don't find yourself exposing more of your weaknesses than your strengths. Remember, intelligence cannot be faked. If you are intelligent, you are intelligent. If you are not intelligent, you are not intelligent. So it's like pregnancy, you can't hide it. Sooner or later, it will be seen that you are carrying a particular quality of intelligence or a particular quality of EQ within you. So don't ignore EQ. Work on your EQ so that you can build, on the other hand, your IQ as well. And when people see your IQ measured by the quality of your EQ, then you become the kind of a person or leader that people seek to follow. People don't want to follow only an intellectual who is not emotionally intelligent, but people want to follow a person who is balanced. There must be a congruence, a harmony between your EQ and your IQ. When this is absent, whichever quality is exposed more than the other will then make the people to define you based on the exposure that they have had with you. So if people see more of your emotional intelligence poverty, people are going to define you based on what they see. And your IQ will always be seen when it is measured by your EQ, because these things are intertwined. They go together. There is no way you can hide your EQ and only express your IQ. Sooner or later, like pregnancy, it will be exposed. There are situations that will require you to apply the power of your EQ more than the power of your IQ. And that's what we are looking at on this slide. Somebody has not muted themselves. Can you all mute yourselves, please? It's disturbing the attention of the others. Can we all mute ourselves? Right, let's look at the next slide. This is what I mostly talk about when I give my talks and when I talk about emotional intelligence. This term, it's called the amygdala. The amygdala, it's a psychological term. It's a term that is extracted from psychology. Excuse me, can we all mute ourselves, please? It's disturbing to the other attendees. Can we all mute ourselves? Thank you very much. So if you go to the dictionary and check the meaning of the amygdala, this is what you'll find. It's a roughly almond-shaped mass of gray matter inside each cerebral. And you know that cerebral speaks about your brain. It speaks about your intellect. In your cerebral hemisphere involved with the experiencing of emotions. So this is the part on the right side of your brain, on the substratum of the right side of your brain. It's called the amygdala. It's more responsible for the activation of your fight or flight mode. Most of you will know what this means. You might have heard about it before. If you are looking the other direction and I come behind you and scare you, the amygdala, when it's activated, it will activate either the mode of fighting back or fleeing from the situation. So it's either you run away or you defend yourself. So most people wonder, what is this aspect of our lives that's responsible for the either fight or flight mode? So it's activated by that compartment on the right substratum of your brain called the amygdala. It's responsible for the experience of your emotions. So I say to people, it's important to then stretch your mind, make investments on your brain, and enhance the quality of your brain or mental structure, so that when your emotions are provoked, your brain will activate the necessary reaction to the provocation of the emotions. That is very, very key. So this is the point that you need to note down. Taking time and effort in building and stretching your mind with information, with knowledge, with anything you deem important in the stretching of your mind. When you do that, it means now when you are provoked emotionally, the amygdala will activate the right qualities in your emotions to respond in a better way, in a more effective way. Here's an example that I would also give. You know, in families, when there are family meetings, for those of us that have big families, when there are family meetings, a person with a low emotional quotient. It's not needed in the meetings because they usually don't apply their mind. They apply their emotions to situations that require the application of the mind. So in cases where you don't apply your mind, your emotions will want to take over. And when emotions take over, you know that there is no solution that we're going to come with. We're only going to perpetuate the problem which we are dealing with at that point in time. So that is about the amygdala. Now, emotions, this is my last slide, and then we're going to go to taking questions from the attendees. Are emotions taught or caught? Or let me rephrase, is emotional intelligence taught or caught? Right now, I'm teaching you important qualities that you need to note where it concerns emotional intelligence. And if you are going to apply these lessons that I'm teaching you, you are prone to becoming better where emotional intelligence is concerned. But when it is caught more than it is taught, and by caught, I'm going to take you back to one of my first slides, the consciousness. When you have the consciousness about emotional intelligence and how you react and respond when your emotions are provoked, when you can reach that level and that phase, you are prone to be a person or to fall under the category of people who have caught the subject matter or the concept. So these are the people who are conscious of how they react or respond when their emotions are provoked. So when you catch emotional intelligence, you'll be stronger than what you were before. You'll be stronger than when it is merely taught to you. You know that on the internet, you'll find content about emotional intelligence. At work where we are always taught about emotional intelligence. But how many people can really catch the consciousness of emotional intelligence? Those are the people who are prone to last in terms of expressing the ultimate quality of emotional intelligence. So my last advice to you as attendees is to choose to be emotionally intelligent, and you will be emotionally intelligent. It takes a level of maturity for you to realize and acknowledge where you have done wrong and where you have done wrong. So when you acknowledge where you have done wrong and you can identify where you have done wrong and you are willing to make up for the wrong that you have committed, then you know that you are emotionally growing. You are emotionally becoming stable. When you are emotionally stable, you will qualify to be a mentor of other people. I've heard and seen people claiming mentorship when they are actually struggling with the same things that their mentees are struggling with. Now, how do you become my mentor if you and I are struggling with the same things that you must mentor me on? So it becomes very, very key and very important for you to grow and develop also emotionally. But you need to apply the qualities that I've taught and the lessons that I've taught in the previous slides. When you apply them, then you are on your journey of personal development. When you are developing personally, you become a person who can also mentor those who are on the journey of developing and growing. An adult who is not emotionally developed and emotionally growing cannot effectively and successfully teach teenagers or infants or those who are still growing about emotional intelligence. So my personal story, I used to be very emotionally strong and emotionally conscious on the negative light. In that, you wouldn't provoke me emotionally and I don't react. When you provoke me emotionally, I will react in a way that addresses, the impact of your treatment of me. And I will react emotionally in a way that after reacting, I'm not proud of the things that I've done. So consciousness had to be birthed in my heart about emotional intelligence. And I made an effort to work on myself to becoming a better person in managing my emotions. And today, I can proudly say that I have done good for myself. I've done better for myself. I'm still growing in it. I'm still on the trajectory. I'm still on the journey, but I am no longer the person that I used to be. You know, even when I feel emotionally provoked, because sometimes you don't choose the provocation. Sometimes it happens without you expecting it. But when it happens, because I've conscientized myself to react and to respond in certain ways I'll be proud of, then my mind is the one that is more activated than my emotions. Because if my emotions are more activated than my mind, I am prone to doing things I will not be proud of. So the challenge I'm placing before you, family, is that in the workplace where you are working, go and assess and evaluate yourself. Where are you emotionally? Be honest with yourself. Be genuine with yourself. Then apply some of the lessons that I've spoken about. Develop a habit, a lifetime habit of working on your emotions. When you work on your emotions, you are prone to applying better quality in terms of emotional intelligence and becoming a better person who applies their mind more than their emotions. If you are not emotionally intelligent, you will also lose opportunities. There are people who come into your life with opportunities, but they soon leave your life because you are not emotionally intelligent. You don't bless them when you are emotionally provoked, but you curse them. You don't reason well, but you find yourself saying things that may not be erased in the lives of those you are relating with. So I wish you well in your journey. I wish you well in your endeavors.